I'm Ken Holloway, and I'm your golf coach buddy. Thanks for tuning in. We're continuing our series on the 8 games of golf, and we're up to the 7th game now, which is the practice game. Now, it's important to practice to improve your golf and keep your chops up. But you want to make sure you get a maximum return on all the time, trouble, and expense that you put into your practice efforts. So let's talk about how to make the most of that. The first thing you need to do is you need to have a very clear intention about what it is you want to accomplish at your practice session. That way you know if you're making progress or not, if you did what you set out to do. So you want to practice with a very clear intention and purpose. The second thing that you want to do is you want to mix it up. And what that means is you want to divide your time between working on block practice and random practice and games. So block practice would be the clear intention part, where you're working on some very specific aspect of your golf game. It could be mechanics, it could be impact, it could be anything. You want to limit your block practice to about 10 to 20% of your total practice time. And then most of the rest of your practice session, you want to devote it to random practice. And that means you want to simulate golf course conditions. So you have to use your imagination, set up shots, maybe pick one target and do the 9 windows like Tiger Woods does. Or maybe you want to pick a 100-yard target and hit all your irons to the same target. That would be fun. So you want to use random shots, and whatever you do, you don't want to sit there and just bang balls mindlessly, because when you do that, your brain just totally shuts down. Your brain needs stimulation and novelty. So use your imagination and create on-course golfing conditions. So that way you practice, you get good at what you practice. So if you practice playing golf, then you're going to bring that to the golf course. And that's another thing too, an observation that people often complain that they practice well on the golf course, but then when they show up to play, they can't bring their game with them. And the reason why that is because there's no ramifications on the golf. There's no consequences for hitting a bad shot. So you want to focus on every shot just as if you're playing a real golf match. And so that's where we're talking about mixing it up and simulating golf course conditions during your practice. And the third thing you want to do is take a lesson from Tiger Woods. And he talked about this during his induction speech, is you want to train hard and fight easy. Now, I mentioned earlier about creating pressure positions when you're practicing. So one of the things I like to do, for example, is the 12-ball drill, and there's a picture of that, hopefully. And you have to make all 12 balls, and if you miss, you got to set them all back up and start over. So that's just one example of something that you would do under pressure. One of the examples that Phil Mickelson uses is to make 100 3-footers in a row. And if you miss, you got to start over. And obviously, that'd be a challenge. One of the things I like to do is I like to practice, make your practice conditions more difficult than when you play. So for example, you could hit balls on 1 foot. And another example is you could just hit balls with one hand only. So maybe you might want to take your 7-iron and just practice hitting half swings, 3/4 swings to a target. See how well you can hit the ball straight with your 7-iron with one hand. So that'd be a good practice technique. And if you do that, then when you get it on the golf course, when you use both hands and both feet, well, then that seems really easy compared to the way you were practicing it. Another example would be putting with your eyes open versus closed. So you could set up and line up for a putt and then putt the ball with your eyes closed, and that's good practice. And see how well you do. It's going to improve your sensitivity and your feedback, and that helps you develop your feel and your chops. So there's lots of ways to improve, train hard, and improve so that when you're playing golf, it goes a lot better for you. So those are the 3 elements you need to be good at to make the most of your practice time. I hope you found that helpful, and if you did, please hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next video, which is the last video on the equipment game. So I'm Ken Holloway. I'm your golf coach buddy. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.